That's something that's really cool and really exciting about Rapid is the ability to build the model and deploy a workflow, which again adds that layer of intelligence on top of the vision model, and you get to deploy it in minutes and immediately start to interact with it. Today, we are going to dive into Roboflow Rapid, an amazing new tool that will allow you to build a computer vision application and deploy it to be used in production in just a few minutes. So let's start off by taking a look at this industrial use case. So we have a bunch of vials. Um, the vials that appear to have a gray cap actually don't have a cap. And the process of this video, if I show you, is that we are actually applying yellow caps to the vials as they pass by. So the problem we want to solve is we want to count how many vials have the yellow caps applied. So we're going to do this starting off by building a model, computer vision model in Rapid and deploying a Roboflow workflow, which will enable us to add an intelligence layer on top of the vision model to count the number of vials that cross a specific line. So let's go ahead and dive in. Over here, I am at rapid.roboflow.com, and I'm going to go ahead and upload my video. There's a couple different things that are happening here. So we're uploading the video to storage so that we can continue to process and test the model as we're developing. Once this upload is complete, you'll see there's a processing step, which is under the hood re-encoding videos so that they meet the expectation of the system. And so that there's not any problems. You can upload any type of video that you want to Rapid, and we'll make sure to convert that to a specific encoding that we can work with. We're going to go ahead and trim this video. And again, we're processing this video. We're going to upload the trimmed version. So this is going to take a second. All right. So now you can see we have our video. We're actually going to run some analysis on the first frame of the video so we can give you some recommendations for some objects that we think you might be interested in detecting. I'm going to go ahead and say that I am looking for two different object types. So the first class or label will be yellow caps. And the second one I'm going to call gray caps. Now remember, there's not actually caps on the gray, the vials before the yellow cap is applied, but we're still going to call it a gray cap because it looks like a gray cap in the video. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Rapid to see if it can identify any of these caps. We're using SAM3 under the hood, which is a big vision foundation model. Very powerful, very accurate. And you can see it does a really good job here at first out of the gate. So there's many different things you can do to play around here with Rapid. I can add more data to test on. I can go over here and edit the colors of my classes. So I'm just going to align these with the names here. For the yellow cap, we'll go ahead and make it a yellow label. And you can see we're drawing bounding boxes around the objects that are detected, as well as overlaying a instance segmentation mask. Now remember, right now, Rapid is building an object detection model, but soon to come will be instance segmentation models. And so these masks are starting to introduce that concept. Another really cool thing about Rapid is that we have the ability to annotate directly on video. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. And when I pause it, we're now going to rerun SAM3 on that frame, given the existing labels that we have. And you can see we're starting to build up a data set, and this is happening very quickly. I can also click around in the timeline, and it will do the same thing. You can see we're starting to build up more and more annotations over here. And let me see if I can find a clip where there is some good visuals on the gray caps. There you go. So it's looking pretty good. Okay, so like I said, all of the SAM3 work has done a pretty good job here. So now I want to test this on the entire video. So this is something cool that you now with Rapid don't have to kick off a training job, wait for that to complete, and then test your video to see if the model you built is accurate or not. this is something you can actually do in real time here on Rapid. So you'll see we're chunking up the video. It's starting to process. And what you'll see is this is running in parallel, and you'll start to see the predictions streaming in. Um, and as you can see, again, the model is performing very well. So the next step here, I'm going to say that this model is good enough for now for this demo. I'm going to go ahead and publish this model. So what's happening here under the hood is we are wrapping the model in a Roboflow workflow and deploying it to the cloud. So now you have the instant ability to test the workflow and the model that you've built um, using this endpoint and kind of various different methods. And yeah, so that's something that's really cool and really exciting about Rapid is the ability to build the model and deploy a workflow, which again adds that layer of intelligence on top of the vision model, and you get to deploy it in minutes and immediately start to interact with it. So let's head on over to workflows, which I keep talking about, and let me refresh my page here so that you can see the new workflow that was created. And here we go. So this is the default workflow that Rapid will create. So at a high level, we have our data inputs. It will run the data through SAM3 and run, we will get prediction results given the labels that we're passing in. We'll then add a bounding box visualization. And for Rapid, we are going to continuously re-upload production data that's streaming into your deployed model. And this really aids in the continuous learning iterative process of improving the computer vision application that you're building. Now, remember, we don't just want to identify the vials the yellow caps and the gray caps. We actually want to identify how many of these vials have the yellow cap applied and cross a line. So we're going to go ahead and add some more blocks to this workflow. Roboflow has a bunch of pre-made blocks that you can incorporate, and that's what we'll be using today. You also have the ability to build out your own custom Python blocks, so incorporating new logic specific to your application. But again, we're not going to have to do that in this demo today. So I'm going to go ahead and add a block called a ByteTracker. And what the ByteTracker does is it's making this workflow stateful. So when we're processing a video, we're going to process each frame individually. By adding the ByteTracker, we're now going to give it the ability to track where these objects are moving frame by frame in aggregate, right? So now we're going to be able to track, like you would in a video with the human eye, we're going to be able to track the actual predictions on each of the frames over a certain period of time. So we got the ByteTracker in there. And now the next thing I'm going to want to do is I want to add another pre-built block here, a line counter. So the line counter has a few things you need to configure. As you can see, the input is going to be the detections coming from the ByteTracker. And then we're also going to actually have to draw the line that we want to track whether the vials cross over or not. Okay, so let's go ahead and upload the video. And now we want to draw the line, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say, we're going to count bottles that go from here. When the caps cross this line, we want to count them as capped and move on, right? So it should increment by 5 every single time this little machine moves on to the next set of vials. So I'm going to save this line, and then I'm going to copy these coordinates because we also want to add a line counter visualization. Just the human eye can validate this. And this also is going to be tracking. We want the line to be drawn where we're actually tracking it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And you can count the number of vials that are going in, number of vials that are going out. We'll go ahead and enable this one as well. And then finally, so now we have the bounding box visualization. I'm also going to add the label visualization so I can validate the class names. I'm going to go ahead and save the workflow. I'm going to go ahead and click deploy. And let's say I want to run this on video. We're going to take a recorded video, and here we're going to choose the batch processing option. So again, I'm going to go ahead and upload a new video. We'll take the one we've been working with. And there's also some additional configuration options here. By default, this is only going to output a JSON asset that will include all of the metadata that's outputted by the workflow. I also want to include a visualization. In other words, I want the result to include a video that has all of the line counter visualization, the bounding box visualization, and the labels as well, just so I can eyeball it and validate it that way. So I'm going to enable this. And then I'm also going to run this with a GPU for speed. Let me just make sure the video is still there. I'm going to go ahead and create the batch. Great. And so now let's head on over to the batch job so we can validate that this is actually started to run, or at least been inserted into the queue. So I'm going to look at my batch jobs, and you can see that this is running, it's scheduled, and I will be notified when it is complete. And I went ahead and did that previous to this demo, just so I can actually show you what the result looks like. And this is what the workflow outputted. So you can see our count is going up by 5 every time it crosses the line. And we can also see our visualizations, bounding boxes, labels, all on top of the original video. So this is a great example of how you can build a model really quickly with Rapid, and then get that workflow, that added intelligence layer by default deployed into the cloud, and have the ability to actually test out and run your workflow on production data in just a matter of minutes.